we're married, but you're not my husband. A husband is something completely different. A wife is something completely different. A lot of people are married, but they're not husband and wife. Yeah. Welcome to 2190's podcast, Asking for a Friend. I'm your host, Elisabeth Obeson, New York Times bestselling author, relationship columnist, and self-love strategist. All right, so I'm here today with Alex, as always.
Hey, what's up, Elisabeth?
I'm looking forward to a really awesome show.
Yes.
What you got for me?
So, as I get a little older, I think about getting married and settling down. And it's like...
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like it's something I have to do. But then I see a couple like Lisa Bonet and Jason Momoa on the news. And I'm like, they seem so happy. I thought things would work out and, you know, they're on a roller coaster of a ride.
Right.
So, marriage.
Okay.
What's your take on it?
All right. So, I've been married 3 times.
3 times.
So, I have like a triple take on marriage.
Okay. I think that's a hat trick.
I got
All right.
Well, first of all, with Jason and with Jason Momoa and Lisa Bonet, I was actually shocked to see that they weren't working out for a bit, but then he moved back. I think he moved back in.
Yeah, it was like back and forth.
But then they're not. I don't understand what's going on. And it's none of our business.
Yeah.
It's not our not my business, but also Jason and Lisa, they were together for a really long time before they got married. So technically they've only been married for a couple or few years.
Okay.
But they were together well over a decade.
Yeah.
Like before he was Jason Momoa, when he was just a struggling actor, they were together. And they're also 11 years apart, with her being the senior of the relationship. So I think it was interesting to see how young he was coming into the relationship. I believe he probably was at that point like in his early 30s.
Okay.
Coming into that relationship. And again, she's 11 years older than he was. So she was already in her 40s at that time. How long they've been together as a whole. But then as soon as they got married, I have to admit, when they got married, I was like, uh-oh, you messed up.
Really?
Yes. Because I don't think everyone needs to get married on paper. I think that they were already married.
Okay.
I think you're together 10 years, you have 2-3 kids, you have a whole life together. You're already spiritually married.
I tried that with a girl once, that don't work.
Well, so it didn't work with that girl. That girl wasn't your true wife.
I'm like, why do we need to get married? We live together, we're in a relationship. It's the same thing.
No.
That don't fly.
You guys have to be able to agree on what marriage is.
Okay.
And I think that might be part of the problem. So we're going to get to that right now. Okay, so here's the thing. Marriage is defined differently by different people. What marriage means to you and for you in your relationship, right? The Oxford definition of marriage and the Oxford, I love me some Oxford. Yeah, the legally or formally recognized union of 2 people.
Okay, now break that down.
Okay, so here's my take on it. I think that, like a lot of other couples who have been together for a very long time, they're already a union. I think marriage is a legal, formal event. Marriage is, and even just historically, has nothing to do with love. Marriage is legally binding and has more to do with ownership. That's the history of it. Okay. Is men owning women.
Okay.
Women couldn't do certain things before they were married, if they weren't married. Women were not expected to have sex before they were married, or if they weren't married. So you would miss out on all of that wonderful sex, I guess. Big eye roll there. Let's talk about that another time. Yeah. Women couldn't own property. Women couldn't own businesses. Women couldn't do anything at a particular point in time in American history and European history. And so marriage was a way for a woman to be able to have a home. In order for her to have a sex life, she had to have a husband. In order for her to have anything, she had to have a man. Things done changed. Yeah. So we don't need to marry you anymore. And in this particular case, with these 2, I don't think they should have ever gotten married. They didn't need, there's no need to, right? To me, it was already perfect. So watching these two people go through this issue a little bit in public, and I know it goes on behind closed doors, of course, but just watching it a little bit from afar, thinking about, well, if Lisa Bonet was my friend, right? Like if that was my girl, I would actually recommend undoing the marriage part and getting that annulled or just getting legally divorced.
Okay. And how would that help? Because
I feel like there's a bunch of expectations that people have after they get legally married that they didn't have before they weren't legally married. Some of the couples that have been around Hollywood a really long time have never been married to each other. And they're in their relationships 20 plus, 30 plus years. And then you see them, for the ones like Lisa Bonet and Jason Momoa, who have been together for over 10 years or whatever, and then get married, then it doesn't work out. But it seems like you were doing fine before. I would undo all the marriage stuff. Because there might be some subconscious expectations that come with, well, now you're my husband. But that was really he was your husband this whole time.
But what changes?
I think it's all psychological. I think it's like a sugar pill. Yeah, I think it's like a sugar pill. It's like one of those testers where like you think it's doing something that it's not really doing. And I don't think everyone needs that kind of validation for their relationship. I don't think they did. I think they were perfect hippie couple. Like living out in Topanga Canyon, like, I don't know, living off the fat of the land or something. I don't know. Like they just seem very hippie and natural and pure, and they didn't need any of this. Okay, I can talk about this all day. Okay. And I've been married 3 times, so I have a lot of input on it because I've never once married for love, ever. I've never once married for the right reasons, ever.
Okay.
And it was never about being with somebody for more than a year. Like I never wanted to be with somebody forever. I've never had that feeling. So marriage takes on a lot of meanings for different people. We get into my experience on that a little later. If that's okay with you.
Of course it is.
Okay.
Do I have a choice?
No,
I don't think so.
You don't have a choice. I'm going to tell you all my business.
All right. We do have some of our friends calling in. You want to take some calls?
No.
All right.
No, I do. Of course. I always want to talk to them.
All right, let's do it. Our first one we have is Michelle. Michelle, what's your question for Elisabeth?
Hi, Elisabeth. How do I approach my boyfriend about marriage after we both decided that it was not the goal?
So you want to approach him about marriage after you've already decided it's not the goal?
I guess, what if I change my mind?
Oh, you're allowed to change your mind, but you can't expect him to change his mind.
I don't expect anything, but I feel like if I ever change my mind about it, I should be able to open up the conversation again.
Absolutely. You can open up the conversation again. I'm glad that you don't expect anything, because expectation is the gateway to disappointment. I think that you should have that conversation though as soon as possible. I think that's a conversation you have like tomorrow, because you don't want to go another day harboring the idea that you want to get married without talking to him about that, and maybe harboring resentment for the fact that he doesn't want to get married. You know what I mean? You want to get to that answer as quickly as possible. How do you do that? There's only one way to do anything, which is just being honest, which is just saying, hey, listen, I need to talk to you about something. I know we said that marriage was not the goal, last year or 2 years ago, whatever it was. But, I've since changed my mind and I decided that I actually do want to get married. And if you're not on the same page with me, if you haven't changed your mind too, or at least open to talking about it honestly and changing your mind over time, like you've got to really figure out how much time you want to give him too, because if you say this to him on a Sunday, he may not have an answer for you Sunday night. You know what I mean? He may need some time. So you've got to decide how much time you want to give him to think about this. When someone's sure, they already know. The answer is yes. So anyone taking more than 2 or 3 days to think about something is too suspicious for me. So broach the topic honestly. Be brave, put your big girl panties on and say that you changed your mind, and give him a little bit of time to think about it, 48 to 72 hours, and let him come back to you with his answer. And then whatever his answer is, you have to respect it and act accordingly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah. The time frame, it just sounds intimidating because it's the kind of question that can pretty much make or break. So it's like you're giving yourself also 48 to 72 hours to really figure out the relationship.
Yeah. But no, you're not. It's I love how women do this to ourselves every single time. If someone wants to marry you, he already knows he wants to marry you. Men know this, honestly, within minutes of meeting you, within months of being with you, it doesn't take them very long to figure this out. So if he wants to marry you, he's already decided. He doesn't need you to give him permission to want it. He needs your permission to do it, but he doesn't need your permission to want it. So if he doesn't want to marry you, if he has no desire to make you his wife legally, then you need to know that now. Why is that intimidating? What's intimidating is waiting a year or two to figure that out. Right? You want to know this right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I know that's true.
Wasting time.
Absolutely. Like this is something you should have figured out as soon as right now you've decided you've changed your mind. You've got to talk to him about it. You got to get the both of you an out. You got to get the both of you an out. And you've got to be brave enough to take the out. Right? You said you had no expectations. So whatever happens, you got to roll with it. If he's down, great. If he's not down, you've got to be like, all right, well, then we got to stop this right now. Or you can also change your mind about what marriage is for you. Since you're into changing your mind, is marriage a legal thing for you? Does it have to be legal for you? Does it have to be a big thing for you? Do you really need to be married? Am I doing it because, you got to go through your own reasons on that. So be sure this is what you want and why you want it before you broach this topic with him. Because there is a chance he's going to say no to you. And you've got to be willing to walk away right away. Because if you don't, you're just going to harbor resentment for the rest of the time that you're with him. Waking up every day with somebody that you know doesn't want to marry you. Who literally is like, nah, I'm good. What? Nah, never. You're going to wake up with that? You're going to feel good about that the next day? You're going to continue having sex with and being with him knowing he doesn't want to marry you? If that's what you really want you know what I mean? Like you got to make that, you got to do that. All right?
Thank you.
You're welcome, honey. Good luck.
Okay, so we have our friend Justina on the line. Justina, are you there?
I'm here.
And what's your question for Elisabeth?
Okay. Hi, Elisabeth. My question is, how soon should I disclose to guys that I'm dating with a purpose, which is marriage, without sounding too forward?
Honestly, and this might sound like a lot, but I believe in saying these things like first date, second date. Really first date. I ain't even gonna lie. Wow. Like second date's too late. Like I just feel like let's not even, because who has time to waste? It's gonna shock a lot of people, but you're gonna weed through the people that aren't looking for that. And you're weed through those people. Like, what's the right time to say that? 7 weeks into me, you know what I mean? Like you don't want to say that months into it. You want to say that immediately. I am dating because I'm looking for my husband. And if you're not interested in being married at all or in the near future, we need to stop this right now and get that over with.
Mm-hmm.
First date all the way.
All right, thank you.
You sound really skeptical and really afraid. But and that's the thing too, like women are always so afraid to turn men off in the beginning. There are so many men out here. There's a lot of y'all. There's a lot of men out here, girl. And the sooner you get rid of one, you can enter another one in. Like, who needs to sit here women will waste their time every single time and be mad and then say that it's the man who wasted their time. He wasted my time. No, he didn't. You wasted your own time because you weren't upfront about what you wanted from the get-go. Men should do the same thing. Everyone say what they want. Put your cards on the table first date so that we don't have to worry about a second date if we're not supposed to be doing this together. Wow. Period. Wow. And then get you another one.
That is a fact.
Like it is facts though. Major facts. Thank you so much for your question.
Thank you.
I wanted to disagree with you, but
you
everything you're saying is like
Because it's jarring though, right?
Yeah, it is jarring. Like if I'm on a first date and the girl's like, hey, I just letting you know I want to get married. Like I'm thinking she wants to get married tomorrow.
Right.
So that's might like be a little off-putting.
Right.
But if you phrase it as like, hey, I want to date for marriage.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay. Yeah.
And I'd rather somebody come out and say, listen, here's what I'm looking for. I need you to be able to do boom, 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 boom. And then I can say, oh, cool. I need you to do da-da-da-da-da. That doesn't work. All right, cool, bye. And then we're out. I never have to talk to you ever again in life. Next. Swipe left and let's just keep going. Like, we're in a swipe community right now. We're just swiping. No time.
So now we have our friend Camille. Camille, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good to be here.
I'm happy to hear your question.
Yeah. So how can I speak to my daughter about the realities of marriage without scaring her from it?
How old is your daughter?
She's 13.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's going into high school. And
do you need to have a conversation with a 13-year-old girl about marriage?
Well, it's one of those things that's like forced on them everywhere. Like the goal is to get married, to find a prince, like all of that, like especially living in the South. And I'm one of those that's like, that shouldn't be the goal at all. Like your career should be your focus and men will come later. But, I'm competing with a lot of other influences that aren't always so great.
Mm-hmm.
What influences a 13? I'm just asking because I don't have a 13-year-old. So what influences at 13 years old? Like, is it like Disney movies is like a big thing for kids? That's always pushing like marriage and Prince and forever, happily ever after. Like, are you talking like that kind of stuff?
Well, not so much like the old fairy tale stuff like that, but just even now on a lot of the shows, like it's just very finding that man that's forever, or like dating in high school leads to you guys following each other to college and this, that, and the other. And maybe she gets that lucky. It's very rare, statistically speaking. But for the most part, I just want to make sure she stays focused on school, education. Boys will come later.
Okay.
Or girls for that matter.
I don't think 13 I don't think 13 for me as a parent, I wouldn't be having these conversations with my kid at 13 years old about the opposite sex. I'd be talking more about her, and what's her like self-esteem and herself. You know what I mean? But times have really changed, and I understand that also. So I know that kids are growing up faster, but I also know that parents are also allowing them to grow up faster. It's really hard to shield your kids from everything because number one, smartphones and streaming, so they can watch shows anywhere now. Everything's just harder, right? So I understand that too. From when I was raising my kid, everything's just like, you could do your best at home and then they leave and go to school and get all the information, right? Mm-hmm. I think you're saying something that's very important. I think it's more important to put the emphasis on what you want her to know about herself versus what you want her to know about men. I think we put too much emphasis on teaching women about their relationships with men versus teaching young women about their relationships with themselves. I think if you focus on a young woman's relationship with herself, it instantly leads into her relationships with other people. So if we focus on building her self-esteem, her self-worth without other people, without her friends. So, for example, the way she dresses, whatever she chooses to wear. So let's say she's like, I don't want to wear that. The other kids are going to laugh at me. You're like, boom, but who cares about them? It's about what you like. And, continuing to strengthen her self-esteem or her self-worth. She's going to know what she wants to do when she grows up based on her self-worth and her own self-love that you've helped instill in her. Also, lead by example. I just don't want to talk to a 13-year-old about marriage. You know what I mean? I feel like that's such an adult topic.
I mean, I'm married 14 years, happily married. So it's more or less like, I don't want her to think this was so easy for me to find because I didn't meet my husband.
Why don't you just let her, first of all, the girl's a girl. And this can be the last thing I say about this. The girl's a girl. Relax, mom. Relax. Let her be a child. She's literally a child. We're talking about a minor child. and talking about marriage and men with a minor child as if you're about to ship her off to Bolivia to marry somebody. Like she's a mail-ordered bride. She's a child in America. Like, let her be a child. Okay. Instill self-esteem, self-worth, self-love without mention of anything else. Just focus on her and building her up so that she knows that she can be self-sufficient, so that she knows she doesn't need other people to be or think or anything. She can think for herself, be for herself, pump her up. You're married for this long. She's got a great view of what a good, healthy marriage hopefully looks like. But for right now, we got like 20 years before that happens. Like, let's relax a little bit and just take the chick to the movies. Like, buy her like a cute outfit and some barrettes and have a girls' night. Like, relax.
Easy. Thank you.
Relax. Breathe. And you're very welcome.
Deep breath out. Husa.
Okay. Thank you.
No, thank you. You've been great.
Have a great day.
Those are some great questions from our friends.
I agree.
They had some questions. You gave some answers.
That's what I'm here for.
All right. So this one is coming from our social. It's J to the M. My boyfriend's family is religious and they want us to get married. I'm not religious at all, but we love each other. What should we do?
I think that they should do whatever they want to do. And I think that's the part that's missing here in this question is, does he want to get married? She's not religious, but does she want to get married? This is an issue between the two of them, and neither of their families should matter. I don't feel like families matter like really at all. And I know most people feel like they do, but in the grand scheme of life, you've got to make your own decisions. You got to make your own way. As we grow up, we come apart from our families. We make our own homes and we make our own families at some point. So it's part of that tearing away is being able to say whatever my mom thinks, my dad thinks, my aunts, uncles, cousins, none of that matters. What matters is what I think, how I feel, and what I want. So it's difficult for a lot of people to do, but it's a necessary step of growing up and becoming an adult, is thinking for yourself, feeling for yourself, and doing whatever the hell you want to do. So if they both want to get married, they should get married. If one doesn't want to get married, they shouldn't get married. If neither wants to get married, they shouldn't get married. What if, because the boyfriend's family is religious, what if they did the ceremony but not make it official legally? You could do that too. Marriage is whatever you decide it's going to be. Okay. Right? So I feel like you can go to the courthouse and get the paperwork and get the stamp and get the whole thing. A lot of people are married, but they're not with their husbands or their wives. What do you mean? Right. So you can be married and not be with your intended spouse, with the person that God has for you, with like your actual person, right? Marriage doesn't mean you're with your person. That just means you married somebody. I could literally take you to the courthouse tomorrow, not even the courthouse. We could go down to this is a guy named Fernando. He works, it's down in San Vicente. It's in mid city. We could get married in 30 minutes. It costs $364. How much the Uber? It costs, it doesn't, like, so I'm saying, like, marriage is a transaction. Yeah. Right? It's something that we could literally do as just as co-workers and go get married. Does that mean that you're my husband? Yeah. No, it doesn't. I mean, you're not my husband. I just married you though. We're married, but you're not my husband. A husband is something completely different. A wife is something completely different. A lot of people are married, but they're not husband and wife. Right? Yeah. So you have to allow marriage to be whatever you need it to be for you. People tend to get married for different reasons, right? Whether they realize it or not. A lot of women are getting married because they think that they have to be married before a certain age, or they become spinsters and old maids and all that antiquated crap. That's actually still a thing. People really think 30 is old, and if they're not married or having kids by the time they're 30, they've failed somehow, which is insane for those of us who are in our 40s, 50s, 60s, who look back at our 20s, 30s, like, honey, save it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you're actually too young to be doing any of these really, really, really adult things. I was married first out of fear, because I lived alone. I was already very successful. I owned my first house. I was already a millionaire. I had already done all these great things in my life at 20 something years old. And then someone broke into my house. I got so scared that the guy that I was seeing at the time, who was not a good person, I was like, can you please come live with me? That turned into us getting married. He used that time in my life, that weakness in my life, to kind of take advantage of my fear of living alone in this big house by myself. We're in a hill. So like I'm all by myself in this dark, weird hill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't like I was just by myself with my kid. So that was fear. My second marriage was just to help someone get a green card. And and that didn't work out for him. I had rules. I was like, if I'm gonna help you do this, you're gonna do boom, 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 and boom. And he was great though. Like he cooked all the food and made my bath water and like massaged me every night after my shower. And he did all the things that I needed him to do around the house, but he broke my trust. Once my trust is broken, then I'm like, all bets are off. So, and my third marriage was part of a fever dream. I think that it was just out of
fever dream. Was that?
It was just like a spiral. I was like in a weird. It's like one of those things you do in Vegas.
Oh, okay.
Right. It's like one of those like, let's go to Vegas and get married. It was one of those like weird moments of like, I'm super drunk, let's get married. And so he ended up being married to somebody else at the same time. So he was I married a polygamist. Yeah, I've got some stories. What I learned about my marriages is that they were all based on all the wrong things. And I realized how many women are getting married based on all the wrong things. And a lot of women are marrying out of fear, one fear or another, whether it's just like getting old or being alone. A lot of women are afraid of being alone, which is really a fear of being with one's self is really scary to people. Most people are never alone.
Yeah.
Never alone. Like they're never alone. Between work, family, friends, they're never alone.
Yeah.
And they can't imagine what it's like to eat by themselves, go out by themselves, be with themselves. They're very uncomfortable with that. So a lot of women are getting married out of that fear of being alone, not having kids, not beating the clock. Let me do this before I'm 30, before I can't have kids anymore. People tell you that by the time you're 40, you can no longer have children. That's a lie. There's a lot of other reasons to fear, for sure. Stigma. The idea that, especially in the Black community, I've realized, in America especially, I'm an island girl, so we don't have this where I'm from. This whole, like, you can't keep a man thing. We don't have that where I'm from.
What do you have?
We have, like, don't keep a man. Like, get rid of this man.
Oh, really?
Get rid of him.
Huh.
Flag on the play.
Okay.
Like, we're done.
All right.
I never heard that term growing up. Like, why aren't you married? You can't keep. I've never heard that. It was like, why you want this? He ain't shit. Like, let's get, like, boom. Next, it's just, listen, we got carnival and shit. We not trying to get stuck where we're not supposed to be.
Yeah.
Where I'm from, island women we rule the island. So men are secondary to us in that way, right?
Okay.
Like, I don't know, very, very feminist island. It's like an island of feminists. Nobody wanted to settle down and just accept any old thing, right? We demanded that men show up for us in different ways. Anyway,
so now the fourth. Is it happening?
Is it happening? Well, I'm still in my second year of celibacy. I'm dating super light. Like super light.
So first date, you say, hey, I'm dating for marriage?
No, first date, I was like, this is not for you. This is for me. Everything's for me.
What does that mean?
It means that this is not for, like, don't get happy about this.
So you're not dating to be with the person?
No, I'm dating for the experience for me.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right? I want to have this experience right now with you, but this is for me.
Got it.
This is not for you. I don't care if you enjoy yourself or not. This is for me.
All right.
I'm having fun.
Got it.
Maybe I'll get married again. I mean, I probably will. I don't see why not, as long as I do it for the right reasons, my personal reasons. But also, I'm okay with never being married again. I'm okay with not doing any of those things again, with not having more kids, not getting married, not being in a relationship, and not having sex. I'm okay with every single last bit of not. I'm okay with not doing any of those things.
Okay.
And it's a really powerful position to be in. The scariest woman is a woman who doesn't need any of those things. I'm not validated anymore by my relationships. I'm not afraid anymore, so no man can comfort me. I don't need anyone to do or give me anything. I give all those things to myself. My celibacy did that for me. I don't need validation for any. I know who I am. I don't need anybody to wake up in the morning and tell me I'm pretty. I know I'm fucking pretty. I'm gorgeous every day of the year. Like, I don't need you for anything. I pay my own bills. I make my own way. I don't need a man to do anything. And that's a really refreshing feeling. So could it happen again? Probably, maybe, who knows? I'm not saying no. That's my thing. I never say no. I never say never to anything, right? But I don't need it. And it feels really good to not need it. It feels really good to, because you know what happens is that men don't know what to do if you don't need it. Because now they got to come with like something else.
Gotcha.
They can't razzle dazzle you with the, I might marry you one day. Like, I don't care. Please don't marry me.
Guys, so you hear that? She's single and she's dating, but she don't need you.
I don't need sex. I don't need nothing. Like, I don't want your penis. I don't need your money. I don't need your time. You never have to text me back. You never have to talk to me ever. I will never ask you why you didn't text me. I don't care. I didn't even notice that you didn't text me.
Sounds romantic.
It's very romantic. Anyway, who knows what's going to happen. But if I do get married again, you'll be the first person I call. You can give me away.
How about you sign us off?
All right, so listen. Final thoughts on marriage is this. I don't think marriage is necessary. Legal marriage, I mean. I think that people are married in a higher realm. I think that who God has for you is for you. I think we tend to marry people that we want to marry for our societal purposes because people look good to everyone else, because it looks good on paper. I think given the divorce rate and the rate of single parents, fathers and mothers, relationships that didn't work out, marriages that didn't work out, that a lot of us, the majority of us in this country at least, are marrying for the wrong reasons. I think that getting married sounds really fun, but staying married is a whole other thing. I think that people are planning their weddings, but they're not planning their marriages. I think people are planning based on what they learned as kids. I think they're playing Ken and Barbie. Women are especially, because we're socialized that way. You guys are playing with G.I. Joes, preparing for wars and shit. And we were preparing for marriage and beach houses and friggin' drop tops and pools. We had different toys.
Summer cars, winter cars.
Summer cars and winter cars. Like, we had different aspirations growing up. I think that women and young girls and boys, because we're not socialized together, we grew up differently, and then all of a sudden we're expected to know how to come together and be together. And it doesn't work out that way. I think we're very different animals who don't take time to learn each other. Women don't understand men for the most part, and vice versa. And I think marriage is not the time to learn that. I think that we should spend more time getting to know each other in our adult years, less time trying to get married, and think about what it's really like to be married. I think if you really want to test your relationship, don't get married. Don't have the paper.
Wow.
Don't have the legal, you better stay together. Don't have that. And see how long that lasts. See if you can be together without someone telling you should, or you have to, or if you leave, she's going to take half. What if none of that exists? What if you're staying for your own will, at your own will? Not because it's cheaper to keep her, so I'm just going to stay here and deal with this. What if none of that was a thing? What if you're just here because you really, really love and want and respect and this person?
Yeah.
And you want to build a life with it. What if this is actually your person? And there's no axe, no guillotine over your neck saying, but if you leave, she's going to take the kids and the house and the business and What if there's no threat? What if we're all here because we want to be here? And you can leave whenever you want. And I won't go after you for anything.
I like the sound of that.
I like that relationship a lot better. But, what do I know? Thanks for listening to Asking for a Friend. I'll be publishing weekly, and you can send me questions or comments to askingforafriend at blavity.com. And don't forget, spread the word. Tell a friend. For more Asking for a Friend, like and subscribe to Blavity's YouTube. I'm trying to get my energy together.
And look to me when you're done.
And look to you when I'm done. You're You're doing great, sweetie. I need to be sleeping by 9 o'clock. Stop.